Welcome guys to this video. Today we're talking about the regulation of renal blood flow and glomerular filtration rate. It's a continuation of our video we did, which is on the factors affecting the glomerular filtration rate, which is a normal glomerular filtration rate video. Again, so very much important there. You have to know the factors affecting GFR there. But here we want to talk about how to regulate GFR. So now in regulating GFR, we have to do it intrinsically and extrinsically. Intrinsically and extrinsically. Intrinsically, we do it by what we call autoregulation. We do it by what? Autoregulation. So I told you that the arterial blood pressure of the kidney can be regulated between what? 60 to 180. The arterial blood pressure, the pressure within the kidney has so many pressures, and to allow filtration you need to use pressure. Without pressure, fluid cannot pass through the glomerular capillary, so you need pressure. But to do this pressure, you have to maintain it within a range between 60 to 180. Are you getting now? So intrinsic regulation is the ability for the kidney to regulate its own renal blood flow and its GFR. Are you getting now? Above this range, what happens? It cannot regulate its GFR. So above this range we are talking about, especially in the autoregulation, above 60 to 180, it cannot regulate its arterial blood pressure. So which means the pressure needed should be between 60 to 180 mmHg. Below 60 is a problem. Above 180 is a problem. You get that? And to regulate this thing, what happens? It has to depend on the mean arterial blood pressure. Remember, autoregulation is the mean arterial blood pressure minus the venous pressure divided by the resistance, which means your autoregulation is much more important with the mean arterial blood pressure. So in the kidney now, to regulate it, we need the myogenic regulation and the tubuloglomerular feedback. The myogenic regulation and the tubuloglomerular feedback. You get it now? So one thing you have to know here is that in the myogenic response, what happens? Remember, the myogenic are the smooth muscle in the tunica media of the blood vessel. Remember, you have the renal arterioles, which is the afferent renal arterioles and the efferent renal arterioles. In the arterioles, you have the tunica intima, which is the inside part. You have the tunica media, which is the smooth muscle layer, and you have the adventitia. The tunica intima contains the endothelium of the blood vessel, while the smooth muscle is in the tunica media, while the adventitia is the outer part. You get it now? So now, to regulate it, now what happens? When there is increase in GFR, what will the smooth muscle of the afferent artery do? When there is increase in GFR excessively, what will they do? The smooth muscle will do what? Contract to reduce the GFR. Excessive, when the pressure is too much. When the pressure is too much, what happens? The afferent artery will contract to reduce the renal blood flow. It's just a way to regulate itself. Let us say that the kidney is trying to increase GFR excessively, especially a patient with a kidney issue, or a patient that is hyperactive, or is undergoing exercise, or is undergoing anything. What happens? The body tends to do what? Increase the release of some hormones, or even by itself, the afferent artery will do what? Constrict by itself. Yeah, now. So that is why in the afferent artery you have what you call the juxtaglomerular cells. So the juxtaglomerular cell is around the tunica media of the afferent artery. So what is the work of it there? It's doing the same thing. So when there's increase in GFR excessively, the smooth muscle, which is the juxtaglomerular cell in the smooth muscle of the afferent artery, will contract to reduce GFR. So that is the way the kidney can regulate itself by itself. Increase in GFR, because naturally there's vasodilation to increase GFR. So when you vasodilate the blood vessel and the blood that is coming into the kidney is too much, and the capillaries has not filtered the blood is skipping at that particular point, the afferent artery has to contract so that it will not bring too much blood again, so that the capillaries can filter the one it has. Because if you are only bringing blood, and the capillaries are not filtering the blood, there will be overload, and when there's overload, it can be dangerous. So that is why the body, which is especially the kidney, regulates itself by increasing the stimulation of the juxtaglomerular cell in the tunica media to do what? To vasoconstrict, to reduce the GFR. But if the GFR is reduced now, or maybe the GFR is low, what will you? that juxtaglomerular cell will be inhibited. The juxtaglomerular cell around the tunica media will do what? Will be inhibited so that it will vasodilate. So when there's the reduction in GFR, we need more blood into the kidney, or after the kidney have filtered all the blood it is having at that particular point in time, what happens? The juxtaglomerular cell will now be inhibited so that vasodilation will occur. So when there is increase in GFR, maybe you are bring out a lot of blood into the kidney. Are you getting that? Especially inside the capillary, there are many blood there. There's too much amount of blood or plenty blood there. Immediately, we will reduce the space at which the blood is using to come. You get that? We will reduce the space so that the kidney can filter that one it has. You get it now? But now the kidney have finished filtering. What happens? The juxtaglomerular cell will be inhibited so that constricted blood vessel will be what? Vasodilated. So that more blood will not come in. So that is how the kidney regulates it. That is how the kidney does autoregulation to myogenic response. In myogenic response is just depending on the tunica media in the smooth muscle of the afferent arteriole. I get him now. Not even only the afferent arteriole, which means even at high GFR, when the afferent arteriole is constricted, what will the efferent arteriole do? The efferent arteriole too will reduce so that all the blood will enter. So there will be constriction of the afferent and efferent arteriole at that particular point in time. So that what will happen? Some of the blood will get filtered and the kidney will have rest. Because if you do kidney overload, when the myogenic response is not working, which means the kidney there will be too much blood in the renal capillaries. And when there's too much blood in the glomerular capillary, what happens? It can burst the capillaries, thereby causing all the whole fluid to enter into the blood, causing hematuria, causing proteinuria, causing a lot of problems, causing edema. I get it now, because that is how your glomerular nephritis come and other kidney issues that come due to this high amount of kidney overload. The next one is tubuloglomerular feedback. Tubulo, renal tubu, glomerular, which is the glomerulus. So tubuloglomerular feedback. Here, the macula densa, where is it located? The macula densa is in the thick part of the ascending limb of Henle's. The thick part. So it is a sensor there in the thick part of the ascending limb. So what is its work? Are you getting now? Anytime, because naturally 65% of sodium chloride is removed in the PCT. About 15 to 25% is removed in the ascending limb. If it now senses an increase in sodium chloride, what will it do? If it senses an increase in sodium chloride, what will it do? It will send a feedback mechanism telling the capillary to reduce filtration. Are you getting now? To reduce the filtration. Don't forget it. Anytime the macula densa is stimulated, what can stimulate the macula densa? An increase in sodium chloride. So an increase in sodium chloride will stimulate the macula densa. Because sodium chloride should have been eliminated, and only a small amount is being eliminated in the DCT. So only the DCT, only because what happens there in the DCT, the aldosterone binds to its receptor there to bring in sodium chloride. So only maybe 5 to 15% is supposed to leave to the DCT. But when the macula densa senses a high amount of sodium chloride, what happens? It will send a feedback mechanism to the glomerulus to vasoconstrict, to reduce the GFR. You get it now? So the GFR will be reduced. And how will the GFR be reduced? By constricting the afferent arteriole. So increase in sodium chloride will do what? Send an information to the afferent arteriole to vasoconstrict to reduce GFR. Why? Because the kidney has to reabsorb the sodium chloride or to eliminate the sodium chloride. But when there's a reduction in sodium chloride, or when the macula densa did not sense anything, because a reduced amount of sodium chloride, maybe a large amount of sodium chloride will be absorbed in the PCT and the ascending limb. A large amount of sodium chloride will be absorbed, which means the macula densa cannot be stimulated. And if the macula densa is not stimulated, which means the negative feedback will go to the afferent arteriole to continue bringing blood, You get it now? So get it. Increase in sodium chloride, stimulate the macula densa, vasoconstriction of the afferent arteriole, reduce renal blood flow, reduce GFR. But now, when there's a reduction in sodium chloride, the macula densa will never be stimulated. thereby telling the afferent artery to dilate to bring more blood. So you get it now. So we can regulate it by intrinsically by autoregulation to myogenic response in the smooth muscle and to tubuloglomerular feedback. Extrinsically, what happens? This is when you are regulating the renal blood flow and the GFR extrinsically outside. So it is the kidney is not the one doing it now. It's external factors from the brain, external factors from nerves that is regulating the renal blood flow and GFR. Now, first one is what? Sympathetic stimulation. In sympathetic stimulation, what happens? Remember, I said when I was doing the factors affecting GFR, I told you that during stressful condition, during exercise, during emotional state, during stress, what happens? Your body stimulates the release of norepinephrine. So when norepinephrine is released, norepinephrine release and bind to the alpha receptors on the afferent artery. When it binds to the alpha receptor on the afferent artery, what will happen? There will be vasoconstriction of the blood vessel. And if there's vasoconstriction of the blood vessel, what happens? The renal blood flow will reduce and the GFR will reduce. So because during stress, what happens? Cortisol and norepinephrine is released. During emotional condition, norepinephrine is released and epinephrine too. So when they bind to their receptor on the blood vessel and the heart, what happens? They will decrease renal blood flow, increase peripheral resistance, reduce GFR. Are you getting me? Prostaglandin. Remember, prostaglandin, which we did in our eicosanoid metabolism, is a prime vasodilator of the blood vessel. To prostacyclin, PGI2, to PGE2 also, to PGF2 alpha. What they do to the blood vessel, they vasodilate the blood vessel. And if you vasodilate the afferent artery, what happens? You have increased the renal blood flow, you have dropped the peripheral resistance, and you will increase the GFR. Hope you understand it. You are getting this connection. Prostaglandin, especially PGE2 and PGI2, does what? Bind to their receptor on the blood vessel and causes vasodilation, bringing more blood into the glomerular capillary, increasing GFR. Are you getting it now? So prostaglandin helps to maintain GFR, essentially when the renal blood flow is low. So when the renal blood flow is low, especially when you are taking NSAIDs. So once this NSAID is inhibiting. Remember, NSAID is inhibiting cyclooxygenase. And when NSAID inhibits cyclooxygenase, what happens? You are not forming prostaglandin, which means there's vasoconstriction of the process. When the patient is also dehydrated, what happens? The renal blood flow is also low due to hypovolemia. During hemorrhage too. During hemorrhage, you are losing blood. So you're hypovolemic already and your pressure is down. Angiotensin 2. What happens to angiotensin 2? What happens? Angiotensin 2, what happens? They are prime vasoconstriction of the blood vessel. Why? Because anytime renin is released, renin stimulates angiotensin 2 release during RAAS mechanism. When you do, the work of renin and angiotensin is to increase blood pressure. So if you are really increasing renin angiotensin, what happens? It is going to the adrenal medulla to increase norepinephrine release. So if you release norepinephrine release, what happens? You are vasoconstricting the renal arteriole, especially the arteriole itself, which is the afferent arteriole. So when you increase the vasoconstriction of the renal arteriole, what happens? You decrease the renal blood flow, decreasing the GFR. So you get it now? Because renin-angiotensin is always the long-term regulation of arterial blood pressure, because you are bringing them to do what? Increase blood pressure. And when you increase blood pressure, you are reducing renal blood flow. Are you getting it now? So we have done with the extrinsic regulation. In the extrinsic regulation, you have sympathetic stimulation, you have prostaglandin, you have angiotensin 2, and there are other hormones I've given you in the factors affecting. You get it now? So in summary here, we have the sympathetic stimulation, vasoconstriction of the renal blood vessels, decreasing GFR. Prostaglandin using PGE2, PGI2, vasodilation of the afferent artery increases GFR. Angiotensin 2 do vasoconstriction of the blood vessel. So in the GFR and renal blood flow regulation, we have intrinsic inside the kidney, extrinsic outside the kidney. Myogenic response, which is the smooth muscle of the afferent artery, vasoconstricting when there is increase in GFR and vasodilating when there is decrease in GFR. Tubuloglomerular feedback through the macula densa. When there is increase in sodium chloride, an afferent feedback will be sent back to the glomerulus to reduce GFR. You get it now? Because the macula densa is still being stimulated by sodium chloride. Are you getting it now? So this is when the kidney can regulate itself in auto regulation. Extrinsic. which means outside the kidney. You get it now? So now to finalize this thing, because I've summarized this now, the GFR is determined by pressure, filtration coefficients, and multiple factors. And the kidney can regulate itself intrinsically and extrinsically. So if you are still here with me and you have understood everything I've said, hope it all made sense to you. Hope you like it. Hope you enjoy it. Again, I hope you enjoy it 100%. So this thing now I'm teaching you is very, very important. You have to like it. You have to love it. You have to enjoy it, because it is how you treat somebody. So if you are just joining me new, make sure to subscribe and turn on your post notification button, so at any time I drop any video, you'll be notified. If you want me to make a video for you, drop it down in the comment section. I promise I'll make the video for you. So I'll be going into my next video, which is what? Edema formation. Bye bye.